Kim Kredich. State your name and address, please.
Sure. Kim Kredich, 3925 Oakhurst Drive, 37919. Well, I just wanted to come up here again, as I do every month, and talk about special education. And on the heels of Stephanie's presentation, I would like to inform all of you that Knox County is the only school district in the state that does not meet any of the state targets for any of the 5 Office of Special Education Programs annual performance report education environment in terms of placement, setting, least restrictive environment, inclusion measures. We're the only one out of 140 school districts in Tennessee. We're the big goose egg. We did it. We're the worst at inclusion. I talked last month saying that there seemed to be a conflict of interest when in IEP meetings, a general education teacher is part of every IEP meeting. And every general education teacher I've met has been wonderful, with my son including, but they are put in a very bad situation when if they do want to speak up, if they're not afraid for their job, surrounded by special education supervisors, and include a child and do what's right, they might not get their bonus, because aren't the bonus structures based on testing levels? So that's not fair to put a teacher in a situation where they might not get their bonus for doing the right thing, because if you've got a child who's below grade level but legally should be included with supports and services, which by the way lifts up everybody else's test scores. I've said that before. Study after study shows, ever since the 1970s, every single study shows that when a child is properly included in a regular education classroom, the rest of the class's test scores go up, along with problem solving, responsibility, empathy. Never mind, let's think about it. Those kids, who has kids with disabilities? Usually people without disabilities. I didn't think my child would have a disability. I have 3 children. I wasn't planning on having a child with autism. That's the most important thing that they can be taught. All these children who will have gone step by step with my son through Sequoia, Vine Middle Magnet, and now West High School, where he's been wonderfully included, but I had to sacrifice my career to make a full-time job including him and fighting for his rights. Some of them are going to have kids with Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, you name it. And they're going to think back to Ben Kredich and say, you know what? When you get a devastating diagnosis, somebody's going to say, wait a second. I grew up with a kid, Ben Kredich, and he was the happiest kid ever, and everybody loved him, and that was a happy family, and he was on the swim team at West, and he was in the musical at Vine Middle Magnet, and everybody gave him a standing ovation for being the dog catcher and saying 2 lines. Okay, that's what can be taught that doesn't show up on any test scores. So the general ed teachers who would go probably against all the special ed recommendations, because we're not doing inclusion right, obviously, if we haven't met any of our state targets and we're the only ones, they're basically going to say, you know what, that kid probably isn't going to get the test score that I need to get my bonus. And I think that's a conflict of interest. And I would like to see somebody turn it around so that if a test score by a child with a disability who has an IEP actually brings that teacher down to not get a bonus, but that child is progressing in his or her IEP, that test score somehow gets removed from the calculation. Sounds like a good idea, huh? So I really would like everybody to think hard about the fact that we are not doing it right. We can't be. We're the only ones. And I will send you the data sheet that shows that. All other 139 school districts have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 yeses in met targets, and Knox County has no, 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 no. And I know why, because I attend a lot of these IEP meetings, and they just dig their heels in and don't want to include. Next month, January 2015, I will be back to talk about the transportation issue regarding how much money we're spending that we don't get any IDEA funds for. That would be $5 million to transport 892 children with special needs. Thank you.